Okay, so the colors that I'm going to be using today are Burnt Sienna from Golden Acrylic Company. These are, this company actually Golden, this is a Golden Acrylics, but they're a paint company. And they operate out of Norwich, New York, so they're actually locally sourced. So I'm using Burnt Sienna, Yellow Ochre, Naples Yellow Hue, this Chromium Oxide Green, and some Carbon Black. And I probably will use a little bit of Raw Umber, which is a really dark chocolatey brown. You don't have to use these expensive things. You could really just even do it with watercolor. I'm using acrylic paints, and these are expensive professional paints because probably what I'll do with this when I'm done with it is try to sell it. So these are the colors that I chose because in the autumn, I love these colors. You'll notice that once all the leaves fall off, kind of mid-November, these are the colors that are in the woods, and I really just love this color combination here. I love it. It just looks like autumn to me. And these are not my usual colors. My usual colors are purples, blues, greens, and magentas, but I thought I would try something different since I'm painting a stick. I thought maybe I would try to go with a woods theme. Also, with the exception of gray, this is kind of the color that you would find on a sycamore tree. So maybe I'll get some white and add that to the Carbon Black to add to my kind of sycamore and autumn theme. Okay, so here's my palette, and I've laid it out red, orange, yellow, green, and then I don't have any blue. I don't want blue. And then I have burnt umber and I have black. And as I've laid it down here, I realized that my lightest value is this kind of yellow color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this yellow down to an even lighter value, just so that I have a little bit of variety as far as color goes, because variety is one of our elements of design. Principles of design, and so I want to have a lot of different values where we have lights and darks of one color. What I'm using to mix this right now is just an old brush that's kind of dried out. I do have palette knives, but it's not absolutely necessary to have a palette knife, and they can be kind of expensive. So I'm just using a brush to mix this, and I want to make sure I have enough, and white tends to not go very far. So I'm going to mix quite a lot in here and make sure I have maybe even more than I would normally hope to use, because I always feel like I always feel like I'm going to have too much and then I run out. So now we have this kind of super duper pale value of white. So you can see it's slightly different, not too much. Maybe I'll add a little more yellow in there. I really like the golden liquid acrylics. I have golden thick acrylics, which I like, but I haven't used them in years because I like the liquid acrylics a lot better for the work that I do with acrylics. Now, one of the things I always tell my students is to make sure you have a paper towel ready. So what I'm going to do to keep my water from getting like really dirty really fast is I'm going to wipe all the extra paint off this brush, and then I'm going to rinse it. I just have a old, I don't know, sauce jar or something filled with fresh water. And then I'm going to wipe the excess water off my brush, because with liquid acrylics you don't want to add water because it'll destroy the quality of the paints. Now, I said I wanted to add some gray, and once I looked at my palette and realized just how dark it was, I want to add now in some of gray. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pour, because black is really, really dark and it has a lot of pigment in it, you're going to need a lot more white than you do black to make a light gray. So I'm actually going to pour some white right onto that pile of black. This still leaves a pile of white over here, but that's okay because this can be my lightest value because there are birch trees, and actually I'm gonna probably want a little more than what I have here. Birch trees in the autumn too, where you can see the white on the birch trees, so it certainly will be a color that I can put onto my sycamore branch. So now I'm gonna mix this, and I wanna be easy about how much black I'm adding. I wanna add it just a little bit at a time because I don't want it to be super duper 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 dark. If it is really, really dark, then it's just gonna overwhelm the white. If you add a lot of black, it's gonna really overwhelm the amount of white that's here because black really mixes as a dark. Now watch what I do. I'm gonna wipe off the brush, and now I'm gonna mix just what's left on the brush into this, and you can see how it keeps it from getting really, really, really dark. So now I have light gray, medium gray, and black. So that is a great mixture of values. So now you can see that I have some darks, and I have some mediums, and I have some lights. Cleaning my brush off, rinsing it in the water, which is here. I'm not gonna keep showing you, it's just a jar. I'm just fixing my brush, and I swirl it around to make sure all the stuff is out. And these are not good brushes, so I'm not too concerned about leaving it sitting in the water. So now here's my paint, which I'm gonna put, I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna put it to my right. And here's my stick, which I'm gonna put on my little thing here to keep it from making a big mess. And I'm gonna start out with a medium round. Actually, this is actually a filbert, I think. That'll be fine. And I'm gonna think about how I want to separate the sections of my stick. So what I'm gonna be doing is painting a block of paint onto the stick. And I'm not really sure how I wanna do it. I have to kind of think about what I want it to look like. And I think I'm gonna mimic some of what the stick is already showing me. So see how this is kind of like a yellow color? I'm gonna come in here with my yellow ochre, and I'm just gonna start painting. Now, I did have a teacher one time tell me that when you're painting, you should not use straight pigment. You should always be mixing your colors, but you know, I like straight pigment, and that's one of the things that is about my style that I really, really like. I'm not trying to recreate a realistic picture in this case. I want something that's not realistic, so it doesn't really matter what the pigment is like. It doesn't have to be, you know, mixed together to create something new. I'm happy with this yellow ochre because it's really similar to the color that you would see in nature anyways, the kind of bright autumn yellow. So here, let me paint the end. There we go. Notice how I'm making sure that I'm going over all the little nooks and crannies because I want this, I don't want any spots of the wood showing through. I'm going to clean up my edges. And when you're doing this, you don't have to choose the same colors that I'm choosing. You can choose any colors that you like. But I would definitely do at least one dark, one medium, and one light. Okay, I'm gonna set this down for now, and I'm gonna work on some bunnies, and while this dries, and then if it's not dry yet, I'm gonna use a blow dryer to dry it off. You'll notice that I left some parts unpainted because I really like the way that looks, the form of that, and I may add something to it later, like some glittery color or gems. It almost looks to me like a wand, like I'm getting this wand feeling to it that I really, really love. And then I love how the end of it kind of looks like a dragon. Do you see that? it looks kind of, oh, here, I'll turn it this way. See how, like, there's an eye here, and then there's like the mouth of the dragon, and there's the nose of the dragon. Like, it just feels wandy to me, and so I'm thinking about Harry Potter while I'm doing this. So there's that, and I will come back and show you some more stuff after it's had a chance to dry.